Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Hot Takes. My name is TJ and I'm joined by Sato, who's going to be my special guest each and every week for Hot Takes. Sato, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I can't think of a better partner to be doing this show with. I can't think of a better use of my skills for content for Grandmasters, so I'm looking forward to getting started.
Yeah. All right, well, how it's going to work is I'm going to reveal a hot take. We're going to have 90 seconds, a minute and a half to debate back and forth. But without further ado, let's get underway. I'm going to reveal hot take number one. We should come to expect the new blood from the Masters Tour circuit to outperform the rest of the Grandmasters.
All right, fairly straightforward. Grandmasters are soft. Let's just call it what it is. They are pampered. They have been given every privilege in the world. Some of them aren't taking the game seriously. They aren't putting the work in. Whereas the people who had to play Masters Tour qualifiers and Masters Tour events throughout the whole of last year, they've been in the circuit. They've been keeping their skills sharp. They've been doing everything that they have to do to stay on top of the game and make sure that they can get through a massive pool of players who are all doing the same thing.
So this is just simple statistics. There are only 2 new Grandmasters and 3 in Americas, if you want to count that.
Sorry,
and there's 14. There's 14 old Grandmasters coming into this season. All right, 13 for Americas. It's just statistically more likely for the old guard to beat the new guard because there's more of them. It's simple statistics, simple math, Otto. What's greater, 2 or 14?
TJ, go back to 2015 when you and I both pretty much started casting Hearthstone. It was a very similar situation where it was invitationals before that, big name streamers who just got to play in all the tournaments. Then when we started casting, we started doing playoffs. What happened? People like Bunny Hopper, for example, qualified out of nowhere, no one knew who they were, became part of the scene. Which of the players do you think is better now, Trump or Bunny Hopper? That's what we're dealing with right now.
Well, you just made my point for me because Bunny Hopper is currently in Grandmasters and he's part of the old guard, so he's going to perform better. Thanks so much, Saul. So that was hot take number 1. I think I got the better of you on that one. We'll call that 1-0 TJ. Empanizado is LATAM's best player.
Ooh. I will just say that it's too early. I think he's done very, very well. Obviously, we've seen he's been around since 2017, showing up for playoffs, whatever. He had a very, very impressive first week. But there are people like Nalgadan, for example, who have been around the scene and been high profile for much, much longer. And if you want to argue based on what our last hot take, that existing Grandmasters are better, then I'd love to see how you twist this around to now say that the newcomer is going to be the best LATAM player.
Well, I just want to go based off of right now, okay? And if we look at last week's standings, Empanizado won. PNC dropped after round 6, which means that, he didn't even play round 7. He finished in 16th place. And Nalgadan just barely missed out on the cut. So I think that Empanizado is easily, right now, at this point in time, hands down, Latin America's best player. You can't argue with recent results, Otto.
You absolutely can. This is Hearthstone, and of course you could argue with results. Results only matter over a long period of time.
Whoever won the last tournament is the best player in Hearthstone, and that's just a fact. And that's time. Wow, this is exciting, but Sato, you need to step your game up. I think I'm up 2-0. Risky skipper decks have the hardest turns to play in Standard.
My argument comes from process of elimination, in that I don't think you can name another deck that has turns harder than what you have to do with Risky Skipper and Battle Rage and Armor Smith and Blood Boil Brew and all that stuff, because what's the alternative? Like, Mage? No one makes a decision while playing Mage. That's just completely up to you. Play your cards and see what happens. Priest? You play your biggest minion in your hand and then you revive it over and over again. Demon Hunter, play the most power you can and go face. Like, what other deck actually has decisions on the level that Risky Skipper decks have right now?
Difficulty in playing a deck or a turn is 100% dependent on how many cards you play in that turn. What's the maximum amount of cards you play in a Risky Skipper turn? Like 7? 7 maybe, right? Maximum?
Sure.
What's the maximum amount of cards you can play in a Kael'thas turn? 15, 20, 25. The sky's the limit. It all depends on what you draw. You have Skull of Gul'dan and the Demon Hunter. You have Overflow and the Druid. You're drawing through your entire deck. Kael'thas comes out on 7. You can pretty much play all 30 cards in your deck, and I think that it's 100% dependent on how many cards played. It's quantity over quality, Sottle. The age-old argument, and that's just a fact.
All right, you took like 20 extra seconds there, so I'm coming back at you. Kael'thas turns are all exactly the same. Cheap spell, expensive spell, over and over again. Whereas risky skipper turns are dependent on what your opponent's board is, which cards you're playing, battle rate, how many cards you're going to draw, how many cards you've got in your hand. Every single risky skipper turn is different. Every single Kael'thas turn is the same.
Subtle. Quality. Oh, sorry. Quantity over quality. I just beat myself there. It's
Yes,
all
you
dependent on the quantity of cards you play. The more cards you play, the harder the turn is. 3-0.
3-0. Body bag. Wrap it up.
And that's going to wrap it up. Sottle, thanks for joining me for this episode, and we'll see you guys next week for more hot takes.
I don't want to do this show anymore.